went against my instinct to test this by myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to install it in front of everyone, but there's a risk of it not working again. But it seems that as though it works now, so that's a good thing. So uh, we will get back to the tutorial that we are using. So again, we are using this tutorial. I will share it with you. So this is the tutorial we are using. I have shared it on the chat. I will show it here. It's a big link. So click on it. Yeah, so we will now share that screen, and we will get back to the part where we are installing. We have installed MySQL, and now we are want to continue with installing other features. All right, let me just get to that part. Okay, just a sec. All right. I will just share the screen. So you will see we are in this part right now. So we have the install MySQL. We had ran this command, if you can tell. And now we can run MySQL secure installation. So that means we are trying to secure this installation and trying to make sure that it will work properly, in a sense that nobody can use the default passwords or username to break into our system. So this is all the things that we will end up doing. It will ask us to strengthen our password, etc. I will just go through it and not actually have it set up so that the password is so strong, because we want to just showcase you how it works. We don't want to make you we don't want to overcomplicate things. So just run this command. And okay, I didn't. So validate password component can be used to test passwords. Place yes for Y for yes, or any other key for no. I won't do this right now because I think it's not necessary for this tutorial. And I will put in the password that I already used for accessing the server. You can use any other password you want. This is just for my convenience. And I will re-enter it with paste. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Oh, so it's asking for a password that's connected to your...
Yeah. Let me just give this a go. Let's just skip the whole part about securing this server. I will try to have it like this. Just a sec. All right, so it's actually pushing us to move away from root user, but this entails that we create another user from MySQL. So generally we will skip this part. And let me just try to leave this. Just a sec. All right. We will have to leave it, and it's giving us a bit of a headache. So I will just do this, terminate it, and I will go again on the terminal and log on again. All right, let me just share it again. We are learning by doing, so it gets tricky sometimes.
Exactly.
All right. We will just enter so we write sudo MySQL, and we are now in SQL. So we have created this database. It's here. So
what we didn't do now is set up like a secure password for our MySQL database, which you should have. But
exactly.
in order to not like get this TikTok to be 2 hours, we're just gonna skip that part now. But if you're
Exactly.
doing it on your own, set up a secure password, and like you need that extra protection around your database because you don't want information leaking out. So
It is something that is worthwhile doing when you are not testing things out.
yeah.
And you're not just playing around with something. We are now just learning and trying to figure out things. So that extra step is not needed. So now we are going to install PHP. So that's the last part of the word of the lamp. So PHP is needed for WordPress because it runs on PHP. Its core is written in the programming language called PHP. So we need to install it. So we will it by copy pasting this code, running to the terminal, going back to the terminal, going back and forth, back
And
and
there's
forth.
also, I think it's like worth just mentioning that LAMP, LAMP, it's in that order for a reason. So you need Linux, Apache, MySQL, and then PHP. And then you have everything you need in order to run WordPress.
Exactly. It's stacked on top of each other. So you need to
Yeah.
have one for it to work. Yes, exactly. So we are now installing the PHP 7.4 version. We can check it out by writing php-v as version. And we will see a lot of information here. We will see that it is running a 7.4.3 version. And yeah, that's good to know for various things, but this is the latest installation of Ubuntu that we did, and no worries about it being very outdated. All right, so we are going back to basically installing the WordPress. So there are things you will see in the link that we shared where we had talked about how to set up. So this is the link that I'm talking about. So how to install Linux and Apache and MySQL and PHP. You will see it mentioning some other parts and other things that you need to do there, and you should do them. But for these intended purposes, we don't have to do exactly that. So for us, in order for us to get started and to get going with our example of running WordPress, we can skip those steps. Some of those things that we had that are mentioned in that tutorial basically are about having a domain. So when you have multiple domains, you can have one server and have multiple domains. You don't have to run just one domain on one server. You can, so that's a good thing. So this kind of covers that part. So we will kind of go about and not do that right now. All right. And we will go to the WordPress installation tutorial. So what we need to do is actually create something on our SQL server, MySQL server, in order for our WordPress to be able to write things down there. So to put some things memory-wise there. So we will go back and do that now. So let me just share the tutorial. So this is the tutorial that you should use and follow to keep up with us. Let me just share it on the chat. And I will just share it, even though it's a huge link. I will just share it here for you to see. So how to install WordPress on Ubuntu 20.04 with LAMP stack already installed. Okay, cool. It's in the chat. Click on it. Keep up with it. I will now share it on the screen also. All right. Okay, cool. Let me just do this. Okay. So we now have the creating a MySQL database and user for WordPress. So we have some prerequisites here. We should install the LAMP stack as we did. We should secure our site. It's a good practice to do it here. SSL, etc. A lot of things should be done here, but we will skip that for now. If you have a domain name, which we don't, then you should connect some other security layers and features with that domain. If you do not have a domain, then we will follow along with this tutorial. So it's asking us and telling us, all right, we have the MySQL server installed, and it's asking us to kind of log on to it. So we should go and write MySQL, and I will just do this in order to help everyone. Just a sec. Let me just do this so it's easier to follow.
So I can just mention what they talk about up there. If you have a domain that you want to connect to your IP address where you have your WordPress installation, if you have a domain, then you should it says that let's encrypt, and that's going to give you the S in HTTPS, and that's a secure domain that you can enter. So sometimes when you go to a URL, a domain, and you can see there's like a little warning flag or something, and it's just called HTTP, then it's not set up with Let's Encrypt, so it doesn't have a SSL certificate on the website.
Exactly.
But that's a good thing to do, but we're just testing this, so we're not going to do that step now. But if you're setting up a website for a customer or your blog or anything, then you should do it.
Yes, it is quite helpful to have that, and we will start doing it. We will skip that quite important step for now, just in order to get to that WordPress wizard and to have that WordPress online. So now we have that step. So we want to create MySQL root. And all right, so we will do this. I will just copy paste that code. So we write MySQL -u root -p. And it asks us for the password. So the password, as you remember before, was actually the same password that I used for creating the server. So the same way I access the server. And now I'm in the MySQL database. So now I have to switch. I don't use Linux commands anymore. I'm using SQL commands now. So let's see what's next. So now we have the add user. So we will actually use this command and update the root user's password, and we can replace it with a strong password. Usually in this example, I just add a couple of digits afterwards because I don't want to overcomplicate things, and it's asking me to kind of change the password for security reasons. Obviously, you should use a different password for accessing your server and for your database. Let's make that clear. But for learning purposes, it's fine. Let's just do it for this example. Let's just go on and try it. All right, I will just copy this.
And
Run it
also
here.
worth saying here that how to identify what's MySQL and what's not. So it's a good practice when you write in MySQL, everything that's a command in MySQL, that's going to be in capital letters. It's going to be in large letters. And everything else that's specific to just your database in this example, that's going to be in small letters. So that's a good way of like what's what.
Exactly. And this is the this is the new password. I should have replaced it with something. So I will just type in here 1, 2, 3, the worst password you could type, 5, 6, 7, and perhaps it's not even going to allow me. Let's see. All right, but it went fine. It says, all right, I'll accept that stupid password. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the worst password you could use. And but you can
Perhaps we
type it.
should have named this TikTok like the worst security case ever.
Yeah, it's just it is us going from our local computer into the wild. We should follow a lot of security tips while doing that, but if we are just testing things out, well, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine to do it. You should use your more complicated password here instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just to be very, very clear about that. So let's go to the next step. So now we have changed it, and now we can test out the password, which we will not do. We can now create the database. So that's the most important part. We copy this and we create the database called WordPress for the WordPress to be able to actually access it. All right.
So what we have done up until now is that we have started or setting up MySQL on our server, but then we actually need a database to get all the information into when we're having our WordPress site. So it's basically filling in the blank gaps.
Exactly. So we are now we are using the WordPress as a name of the database for WordPress, but we can put in anything. It's just, even the tutorial is saying, if you can tell, the tutorial is saying we are using WordPress. We are going to use WordPress, the name WordPress in this guide. So it doesn't matter. You can change it to whatever you want. It will be even better security-wise for you to switch it up. Yeah, because people are aware of these tutorials, like people with ill intentions. Let's put it that way. All right, let's run this. Click enter, press enter. All right, create database, 2 warnings, 1 row affected. Okay, should we ignore the warnings? Let's see. Make sure that it's present during any issues. Semicolon is present. Everything is okay. It seems as though. Let's continue and see if something comes up later on.
What happens if you run show tables WordPress now and semicolon?
All right. It's going to be probably shown. All right. Show tables. So it's actually, we have to write show database.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So we have the WordPress, yes, database here. Yeah, that's cool. These other databases that we've shown before and talked about before, I think, are also represented. So we talked about on it, my PHP admin tool that you can use. It's another part of our Tech Talk series. So we had these databases covered, and why is this happening? So you can check that out. We will leave the link afterwards in the comments. Okay, cool. So we are now at the MySQL. Let's see what the tutorial says. All right, it says now, yeah, you have created the database. Please create the user now. Let's call it very originally the WordPress user. And yes, we have the it says password here, I think. So we need to let the database know that our WordPress user should have complete access. Okay, that's the extra part. It says, remember to choose a strong password here for a database user where we have password. So it says password here behind the copy. Perhaps you cannot see it, but we will use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't use that. All right. Okay. Let's get going. Okay, we will now create the user for our WordPress. Hopefully it will not run automatically. It won't. Okay. Sometimes what happens is when you copy paste the code, it copies the enter
right,
also and puts
Yeah.
your exact. So we will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Horrible password. Don't use it. All right. So now we will give permissions. So it says grant all to WordPress. So we are granting that WordPress user can access everything in the WordPress database. We are giving that command to MySQL. Okay, so like be cool with user called WordPress user accessing everything in that database. All right, let's copy paste that. Let's go with that. So we will copy it. We don't have to do any changes here because we have followed the tutorial also with the same username. So grant all, grant everything to that database, to that user, right?
And just
Okay.
so everybody understands as well, when you're setting up a WordPress site, perhaps you're doing it for a customer, perhaps like you're the developer, you're setting up a WordPress site, then you should have granted access to everything in the database. Perhaps there's going to be a second user on your WordPress site in the end, and that person shouldn't have access to everything in the database. So like
Exactly.
one user is allowed to have access to everything. That's a good practice in the future.
Yes, it has its nuances. It has a whole thing that you need to worry about. Different types of users, different types of rights that they have on a database. Some can only read, some can only read and write on it, and etc. Yeah, cool. Let's get to the next command. So we have now flush privileges. Seems like a non-important command, but very important. What it does, it actually tells the MySQL server to kind of reload the table, reset it again, and implement these changes. It's like save as or save on a Word document, on whatever document, text editor. So you have to do this. I have missed it a couple of times. Granted some or created a new users, granted it having more rights on a database, and it didn't work because I didn't use the flush privileges. So right, so we will do that now. So it has just saved the things that we told them to change. Okay, and now we are exiting the SQL. We have done everything that could be done, should be done. And now we are just going to exit it. I'm not even going to show the screen for that. Just type in exit. And it says bye. All right. So we are now installing additional PHP extensions. And the reason why we are doing that is, I will just even zoom in. Oh, I can zoom in a little bit more. Okay. The reason why we are installing additional PHP extensions is because WordPress has a lot of requirements. And in order for PHP to be able to communicate with different layers, different stacks that we have just built on the server, we need to install a lot of these extensions. So without going into the nuances of exactly what these extensions do, let's just say that they are needed. When you don't have a certain extension, you will be warned. You will definitely be warned by that server, by that service, etc. So let's just do that. Let's just copy So it says apt update. So we will copy that and we will run it on this. Just a sec. So we are updating the server again with we are updating the locations where our server can find new resources. So we are updating a table where it has the links listed for all of the resources needed for things to be updated. So what it does, when we are not going, now we are going to run this command. So install these extensions. So we are more sure that we have a good table, fresh table, like a map or a set of directions for it to install the freshest extensions possible. All right, let me just copy it. And now I'll put it in the terminal. All right, let me paste it. So it's okay. I got to it right away. Not exactly what I wanted, but okay. So it says the following new packages will be installed. It lists all the packages. You can perhaps go through it and see some things that are familiar, like PHP curl or PHP XML. Perhaps you heard of those things, perhaps not. Well, let's not worry about that now. So do I want to continue? Yes, I do. So it's taking those mirrors. You can see mirrors for a second there. So it's referring to those links, updated links, and it's actually downloading it from those links and doing it quite quickly and installing it. And it's done. It has installed it. So all of the extensions needed for the PHP programming language to work properly to communicate with the every part of server that we have stacked on now. Okay, let's go to the tutorial again.
So we've just taken like a toolbox of tools and tipping it into our server so that WordPress can do its thing.
Yes, exactly. So that WordPress through PHP can do its thing. Exactly. Yes. So we will need to restart the Apache web server in order to load these extensions, as we did with the flush privileges. So after every major update or major change, it's good to restart the service, and then the server if it's not working. But it's good to restart the service. It's good to use these commands in order to kind of refresh it a little bit, as you would refresh a page. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like cleaning out the cache on a web browser.
Yeah.
Just so that everything is like, all right, yeah, you said a lot of new instructions.
Exactly. Okay, let's just run that. We have restarted the web server. It just takes a second because it initiates and starts up so fast that you won't even notice it disappearing, the whole web page. Because if you were to shut down the Apache server, that would mean we would not only close the windows and doors, we would actually make them disappear for a second. So yeah, okay, let's go on with the tutorial. So adjusting Apache configuration to allow for .html access overrides and rewrites. Okay, don't get scared. So there's this is a very WordPress thing that we are now doing. So this is the part where we are trying to adjust our web server in order for the WordPress to work properly, because WordPress has its expectations set. So we have to match those expectations. And it is mentioning that it's going to put the WordPress, the framework, the service
structure.
Yes, the whole structure of WordPress. It's going to place it in the www folder in our server. So that's also good to know. We will cover that. We have already covered it when we installed it, but we'll go through it again. So it's telling us what we are going to use, and let's just do it. So we will use nano again, and we will go to the sites available, wordpress.conf. So I will explain while doing it. So click copy here. While doing it, I will explain away what and why are we doing that exactly. So let's copy it and let's paste it. Enter. So we have this blank text. Blank, actually not text, but blank configuration file. Yes.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is actually copy paste this into it. It's just a normal, just a way of it communicating and allowing that communication to go through. So to keep it very simple and somewhat untrue, but don't worry about it a lot. It seems scary, but you need to copy it and paste it. We will paste it into that terminal. Let me just do that.
So what we are going to do is like downloading a couple of files that is the structure of WordPress and place it in our server. And in order for our server to understand how to show the files, we have to place them in a specific part of our server. And that's what we're doing now. We're guiding the files. Here, you're going to place them, and here we can show them.
Exactly. And I can ask you at this moment that perhaps this is scary, but don't worry about it. You will deal with this later on. It's not that scary, and you will have tutorials. So now we are opening up this configuration file in order to tell the Apache what to do when WordPress asks Apache to do something. So without this, WordPress and Apache could not communicate, and they will communicate badly. So that's why we're doing this. Okay, let's put that text in. So paste. That's it. We use Control X to exit. So I didn't mention that before. Save it. Yes, we want to save it. Where do we want to write it? Yes, I want to write it at this location. So it's written. It's now at that location that there's a text or a config file there saying it for it to allow a certain behavior to happen, certain communication to happen. Okay, let's go back to the tutorial. Now we are enabling another module, another part of the Apache in order for WordPress to work. We're enabling one module called mod rewrite for it to work, in order for things working better in WordPress. It says this allows you to have more human readable permalinks to your posts, like following two examples. So it's not creating some very random links. It will pick up on the text that you used and actually put it in the link. It will give you that option. But in order for it to work, we need to tell Apache that this is okay. So because we are messing with the links and it doesn't like that, we need to tell it. Okay, we copy this, click copy here. Let me go to terminal. And we will now run it. And we need to restart Apache. It didn't say that in the tutorial, but let's copy this. Always use copy function. Don't be afraid of it. Command or Control and C and paste and restart. We have again restarted the whole Apache servers. All right. It says before implementing the changes we made, check to make sure we haven't made any syntax errors by running the following test. So we will run this test for Apache and see if everything is all right, if the syntax is okay. So just a small check if everything is all right. All right, so let's do that. All right, it's given us a warning of setting the server name. There are some warnings here regarding the domain. So we don't have a domain, so it's freaking out a little bit. It's like, you don't have a domain, what's happening? So Syntax is okay. That's the most important part. We got the okay. Well, let's go back to our tutorial and restart Apache. Okay, I'll do that without going to the terminal again, and I will use the up arrow for it. All right, restarting it. Cool, restarted it. Now, step 4, downloading WordPress. Sounds exciting.
Yay!
Yeah. Now we will change into a writable directory using a temporary one because we don't need to keep the files or the zip file. Let's call it a zip file, a compressed file that we will use to download or extract WordPress. So let's do this. Let's just copy. We will be in our home folder. Copy that, and let's just go with the flow. We will write cd /temp, create a folder called temp, and then we will run this command. Don't be afraid to run things, especially on a test server that you don't understand. Nothing bad can happen. Like we can just go again, delete the whole server and start from scratch. Now we are downloading, and we have downloaded it very fast. We have downloaded the WordPress, and we will now extract the compressed file. So this is the file to do it. This is the way, sorry, to do it. And off it goes. So this was the command. Let me just show you. tar. It's a sort of a zip for Linux. So unzip, we are unzipping this WordPress. And now we can create, it's asking us to move. We will actually make some changes, and then we will move the directory into a folder where the WordPress can show it to the public. All right. It says we will move these files into our document root momentarily. Before we do, we can add a dummy.htaccess file so that it will be available for WordPress to use later, because this .htaccess file is very important for WordPress. It's a legacy thing. .htaccess was used for a lot of websites before, and it was kind of a good thing to have. Things have changed now with the new configuration, but there are some legacy things on WordPress. Let's not worry about it. Again, we have extracted the WordPress. We are not going to create the .htaccess file that it's asking for, looking for.
But just to explain the htaccess file, what it does or what it's for, it's all of the content that's going to be created on your WordPress site. So for instance, if you have a blog, you're going to have a lot of different blog posts. And the htaccess helps WordPress and you and your server to keep track of, okay, this blog post has this URL because it's from 2022, it's the month of June, it's about blah, blah, blah. And that's what the htaccess file is for. So it's just helping you clearing out the URL so everybody can go on and look at the respective blog posts, for instance.
Exactly. It's a path. It's a way of kind of handling requests. Now we have all of these that we need to worry about, but don't worry about them too much. So we need to copy the sample configuration. We will do that. So there's a hp config sample PHP. We will copy it and create a vp config.php. So you don't have to worry about these commands a lot. We will just go through them a little bit. We will also make a directory called, or folder, sorry, called upgrade. So in order for it to be able to update its software. And now this is the crucial part where I stopped. Now we will go about and copy everything that we did in this temporary folder, and we will copy it into the root folder where Apache is able to show it to the public. So for now, Apache doesn't see, web server doesn't see this. It's not visible for it. It doesn't see the temporary folder with the WordPress in it. But now we will use the copy function. So we will copy this. This is the source. And we will copy it here. So copy paste using Linux. Don't worry about it. You can just copy paste the command. It's not something that you need to understand at this point in time. Don't get frustrated by it. Like, it's just like, do it. Now we have these files in the temporary folder. We could delete those files. We don't have the need for this temp folder right now, but let's leave them be. All right. Now we are going to do another very important thing, and that is configuring the WordPress directory. So now we have placed the WordPress structure, everything we had downloaded and modified, we had placed it in var/www/WordPress. It's visible by Apache, but what happens is it also has to have, like the user had the ownership, the database user had the ownership of the database. So Apache also needs to have, we need to adjust ownerships and permissions in order for this to work. So we will give ownership to all the files, and this is the user that the Apache web server runs as. So it's called www-data. So it's sort of a user that runs on the page and actually is Apache, and we are giving Apache the permission in order to run things on this folder. So there are a lot of PHP code here. There are a lot of scripts here, and we are allowing Apache to run it, actually. We need to give it permission. So this is the command to do it.
So you could say that we have set up WordPress on our server, but if we were to access our URL at the moment with our browser, we wouldn't be able to see anything, because Apache, the web server, we have to allow it to show things in the browser. Otherwise, we won't be able to see the WordPress site.
And run it, because it will not show it because it cannot run things. So it's like, we need to give it permission in order for it to read, not only read, but write and delete and update and everything. So, okay, I have copied the code. I will paste it now. Yes. Okay. And I will also copy these two. So setting correct permission on WordPress directories and files. So let me so I have copied this. So without getting into it, there's different layers of read, write, and delete, I think. So these numbers, these codes, 750, actually define those. So what you can do actually in the folder. But let's not get into this. You can just copy and paste these commands. We'll do just that. Okay, cool. Let me just share the terminal so you can be. So I ran the first part of the code, and I'll run the second part of the code now. Yep, cool. So we have set the correct permission on WordPress directories by doing all of this. Okay. We are almost done. We are just 2 steps away from creating the WordPress wizard being run online, and you can set it up very easily. Okay. So we have now the configuration file. We need to make some changes in the main WordPress configuration file. And WordPress, actually, it says here, provides a secure generator for those values. So basically, it identifies the unique installation of WordPress on the World Wide Web. So in order to grab those secure values and identify this specific WordPress installation, we need to have this secret key generator as we used for the passwords. So copy this again. Copy this, and we will have it run in the terminal. Let's do it. Enter. And so we got these files. Looks very all over the place. Okay, I'll change it a little bit so it looks better. So we got all of these special keys and passwords in order to identify our special installation of WordPress. Okay, so what it says now is we got all of these values. It says do not copy these values because they have generated this for tutorial purposes.
They're just showing an example of how it can look and what it should look like.
Exactly. And now we copy and paste these values, and we open up the WordPress configuration file. So let me just show you how I did it myself. So I just selected using a mouse. I just selected these values and just clicked right click and clicked copy. Nothing special. Yeah. So now I will follow the next step. It says go to that file, the vpconfig.php. Cool. Now we will open that using nano. Copy that. Copy that. So it's all about just. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The
just a sec.
You have copied.
Yeah. So let's not copy right away. Let's go ahead. If you already copied, go ahead and copy again what you got from this generator. Put it in a file somewhere on Notepad or something, somewhere on your computer. Put it, place it somewhere. When you have done that, then go ahead and copy this configuration file command. And sorry. So with this configuration file command. All right, and we will now run it. Now we have to place it somewhere. So we will find these values copied from the command line. We will find define auth key, and we need to delete those lines and paste in the values we got. So let's go on our terminal. So this is the last part and the most important part for us. So let's find the define auth key, etc. Oh, it's here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Put your unique phrase here. Put your unique phrase here. So we can go back on our notepad, whatever, copy paste those values. It starts by auth key, define auth key. It ends with define nouns salt. Okay, I don't know exactly what that means. And copy that part till the semicolon. And let's go. I have just copied it from my notepad, and I will go to the terminal, delete all of this. How do you select things in Nano? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I'm a Vim user in the terminal, so I'm trying to figure out the Vim commands for selecting multiple.
Yeah, if you could do this exact step by using FileZilla, for example, but let's not dive into that. Let me paste it. Okay, is everything all right here?
It's on the second line, it's the slash. And you have like a, I'm not sure if it's not processing right.
Let's see if it will give us issues. Just let me just exit, Control X, and then Y. because we want to save it. Let me see if that's going to be an issue. We are going to pinpoint that and see if that's going to be an issue. Okay. And we go, actually, we have to go to the same bp.php. So that's in the tutorial. So after we copied this, we are now going to set up the database connection setting. This is the WordPress user, and the password. So this is quite easy to do. We are only going to change the password here to, so let's put up the database name here is WordPress. So we are at the same file that we were before. So just a little at the very beginning. Yes. And username is not going to be it is already defined, WordPress user. And the password was 123456. Horrible password. Don't do that. All right. So let's see if we have. Okay. Do we need to make more changes? What does the tutorial say? Tutorial says just change those three things. Cool. See what's happening with define. To direct. Is that the FS method direct? Let's see what's happening here. Right. It's asking us to add the define FS method direct. Let's see if that's going to be.
I'm actually not sure what that does.
Me neither. It's something regarding the prompting FTP credentials when performing some actions. So it's about FTP. Okay. All right, we will copy it. Just take it and copy it, and we will paste it at the very end. Let's do it. Define. So at the very end, we will define also this. We will paste and define FS method direct. Okay, cool. What does the tutorial say is next? Is the next step. We are reaching the 1 hour, already past the 1 hour limit. Completing the installation through web interface. Hopefully, if everything is fine, we will be able to do this. Okay, let's get going. Fingers crossed. It's always interesting. So we use Control X. We type in Y as yes, and press enter. Now we go to our browser and type in the IP address of our server. So the IP address is, you can get it we mentioned it before for our server, but you can get it at the DigitalOcean dashboard. So let me just share it so it's easier for you to follow. I'm not going to do that because it's too much of a hassle. But yeah, you get the IP address and you type it into your browser. Let's do that. I'll type in mine. So ours was 178.128.206.181.
So if you have a domain, then you should have connected it to your URL. So you should probably go on to like Renee.com in that case.
Exactly. Yeah. It's let me just see if everything's okay. And I'll just, it doesn't show the WordPress installation folder. Perhaps it's tied to that salt. And what we missed.
Password.
Yeah, that password. Let's go to that. Let me share that.
Because the API keys that we used in this instance that we entered in a WordPress config file, it was it was a space in the auto-generated, and like I've never seen a space used in an auto-generated secure key before.
Yeah, this kind of worries me. Let me see what I can do. Perhaps it was a thing where we used the notepad and it created something. There is a space here, definitely. Perhaps it's.
I've actually never seen that.
Let me just see. This is O.
Mm.
Let me just see if I type O and. Okay, so that asterisk is actually what bothered it.
Oh,
Quite interesting.
you can
Is
see that the code is changing color. So we wanted all starting with define in white and alt key, secure alt key, that should be in yellow. And then you have the actual generated password or key, and that should be in yellow as well. And then at the end, the white ending.
yeah. Let's see the thing that they got.
Yeah,
How does it look like? Do they have something?
yeah,
So
they have
it's output.
spaces as well.
They have spaces, and do they have asterisks? They should have. Like, there's a lot of things like generated here. I'm sure that it shouldn't be an issue. What we could do is actually
We could generate the keys again, right?
we could generate the keys again. Let's try and do that. So we will copy it for these purposes. We are having again. We could use the. Oh, let me just. No save. We don't want to save anything. So we will use the up arrow to go to the command. Oh, what it was? It was okay.
One below, right?
Yeah, one lower. This is it. Okay, let me generate it again. Okay, it's here. And now I will copy it. And I will go using the history, using the up arrow to go through my commands history. I will find the VP config again. Go, delete again the everything by hand because I don't know how to select it.
So what we're doing is that just because we couldn't get like our secure alt key to work, there's something off with it, the asterisk or the space. So we're regenerating. That was a hard word in English. our API keys in this
Exactly.
instance, and we're just typing in the new ones and just checking does it work now, so that we have authorized everything. Yeah, that looks right.
That looks right. So
Yeah.
strange because I have an asterisk here, but
Yeah.
perhaps it was a space and an asterisk that got to it.
That it couldn't be like in a combination or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
So things like this happen. Okay, Control X and yes, save. And we will restart the whole Apache. Again, that's always a good thing to do. Fingers crossed that it's going to work. If not, we're going to explore why, but we learned a lot.
Yeah.
Let's type in the IP address. So the IP address was, let me take a look at the dashboard from DigitalOcean. So 187, we did not get it, but perhaps we didn't do something right. Perhaps we should follow the tutorial a little bit better. I think that there's something that we need to do. All right, in your browser, navigate to the server domain or okay, and set the language you want to use. But it's not, it's giving us this.
Isn't it that you need to add the /vp-admin?
I was thinking about that.
URL?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. We should add like a VP install or something like that. Yeah. Let's check it out. Let me see VP installation. I'm Googling it right now. So VP installation.
Developers do when we don't know the answer.
Yeah.
We're Googling.
No. Wizard patch screen. Okay. No. Okay. So it's it is something that we need to take a look at, and not sure what we did wrong.
And it's not the cache in the browser?
Perhaps it is. Perhaps it is. Let's look at that option. That's a good suggestion.
It's the most common thing that I do as a developer. I forget to clean out the cache.
Let's see if that's the case. That'll make me very happy.
Yeah.
Let me see. Nope. No, it's not. It's still showing us the Apache. And let's see if we did it correctly. If we did the... okay, let's see if we did this correctly. So let me just check out the root of Apache, if this is all right. Yeah. All right. I think that I know what happened. So we have in the document, in the root, we have two folders. We have HTML and we have WordPress. So I'm very curious. Let's go into HTML. So yeah, it's showing the index, which is the default page made by Apache. So actually it's showing us the HTML folder. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, I get it. I should show this, right? It doesn't know exactly what to show. WordPress is HTML trumps WordPress as a folder, and it says, okay, this is the default thing that I'm going to look for, and this is it. So what we can do is actually, if we go to WordPress listed, we will see the content of everything here.
And there we have the index.php, and that's the one that we actually want to show.
Exactly.
Not the index.html.
Yeah. So, all right. There are two things that we could do. We can actually put the whole content of the WordPress folder into the index, or we can just remove the index folder. Let's do that. Remove index. So this is the command to remove it. Oh. HTML. Oh, I didn't. I want to remove index. Remove HTML folder. Sorry. All right. It's a directory, but.
Oh yeah, RM is just for a file.
Yeah, it's like freaking out. Let's see if we need to point the Apache now. Yeah. Now we have this because it's quite expected. I will just share it. This is quite expected. We have file not found. It's like, I don't know what to do. I looked into the HTML folder and does it exist? So I'm just like, I'm at a loss here. So,
but I know that it's pretty like straightforward. Like we have told our server, look in this folder, and when that doesn't exist, it's like, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna go home for the day. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's rename the folder then. Let's rename the WordPress into HTML as a horrible hack, but let's do it. Okay, not specified. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right.
You actually get to do horrible hacks at some
Horrible
points as well.
Horrible hacks are a part of the whole thing. Shh. Don't tell anyone. Omitting. Oh, let me see what I did here. Copy paste WordPress and what index? Oh, did I write? Oh no, HTML. I did it correctly. Okay. Just a sec. So if what I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong. I'm trying to rename it.
Do you need to add the flag R?
Okay.
Because it's a directory. So
Oh yeah. Okay. I added.
I guess it's recursive.
Precursor like this. Okay. Thanks, Carolina. So let's check out HTML if okay, it does have everything that I want to have in the WordPress. So HTML as a folder we have successfully copied it by using recursive. Thanks, Carolina. So let's remove WordPress now. Or let's not. It can be there. It can be there. So
leave it as it is. It's a backup.
It's a backup. Yeah. Okay, now it's forbidden. And do you know why it's forbidden? Because we have told specifically Apache, hey, look at var/www/WordPress folder, not HTML.
All right.
And now we need to just go into the history. So where we type in history very slowly for some reason. And we have all the commands here. And we have, if we go with up arrow, we will also go to the command saying, oh, the change is being made. Oh, okay. Let's see here, key, restart Apache. Okay, another secret key. Oh, this was when we made the change. So we told WordPress, we told Apache, it's okay. This is the one. So change owner, CHOWN. And we told them, look, you can go through WordPress, but now we're going to tell them you can go through HTML.
Yep.
So this is like the whole point. This is the whole secret sauce of like the developer life and the web developer life or whatever. It's like getting things to work and then refining them to be up to some sort of a standard. So later on we will change it, is because it's not good practice to have it in the HTML folder. We should change it up, but like to learn things, this is a good thing to do. Okay, I'm going up like a very I want to say lazy person, and just okay, changing this and also making this change into HTML. Okay, and another find. So there was this other also command. Not 7. Oh, this is it. HTML. And there's this huge possibility that after all of this, it will still not work. All right, it's doing its thing. Let's go and keep our fingers crossed. We will refresh the page. Ta-da!
Yay! Finally!
Finally!
We got the WordPress to work. That's amazing.
Okay, all of this hard work has paid off. We have gotten to the wizard. What does that mean? So we just click, if you want to use English, whatever, we click continue. We name the site. We name it 46 Elks, cool site. And we define the username. We call it admin. We have already the password here. I'll copy paste it because I don't know. Your email, you define your email here, whatever. I don't think you have to at the beginning. I'm not sure. Perhaps you should. I can put in my email, no worries.
I would say it's good practice to have one.
It's very good practice, but we are not following good practices right now.
That's true. We're following horrible practices.
This is horrible practices, but gets you going.
Yeah.
This is really important, like search engine visibility. You can click here, discourage search engines from indexing this site. What does this do? Exactly what it says. Like, Google will not take a look at this site because you are just experimenting here. you are putting up your like portfolio and doing some like very test work. You don't want to people like typing in your name and surname and finding this site. You're just playing around here for now, but you want to upload your portfolio or CV. So for whatever reason, we're just discouraging search engines to take a look at this site. Not only Google, but also DuckDuckGo. Is it DuckDuckGo or GoGoDuck? I always get confused.
DuckDuckGo, I would
Cool.
say.
Cool.
DuckDuckGo. No, DuckDuckGo. I actually need to, now that we got a WordPress up, I actually need to skedaddle.
Yes, it's
So I'm
up
gonna
and
say
running,
things for today.
but we are logged in. It's working. This is the end of our tutorial. This is a
Yay!
perfect skedaddle moment, Carolina. Let's go. Hi, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Carolina, for being such a good sport and keeping up with me and keeping up with everything that went bad. We will hopefully go through the WordPress tutorial a bit more, help people understand it. This is just behind the scenes. You can automate this through DigitalOcean, but that's it. Thank you, everyone. Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.